book of Ephesians was published because the man was trustworthy. As we read verse 7, "And all my state shall Tychicus declare unto you, who is beloved brother, a faithful minister, and a fellow servant in the Lord." In other words, Tychicus takes care of all my affairs. Man, I wish we have some people in here that I could trust to leave this with and know that it would be okay. Even for 1 week, I knew the affairs would get done. He is my representative. When Tychicus would deliver one of Paul's letters to the churches, he would also give a report to Paul about the church. Remember, there was no mass communication in that day. There was no email. There was no text messaging. What's happening? Amen? These kids, if they don't have their phones, they're lost. I asked my son the other day, nearly 2 months ago. He said, "Dad, I want to call somebody, and I don't know where my phone's at." I said, "Go get the phone and get a dial tone." "What's a dial tone, Dad?" I said, "You're kidding me." "No, I don't know what a dial tone is, Dad." Because he just started dialing on the phone. And I'm like, you got to get a dial tone first. "I don't know what a dial tone is, Dad." See, on his phone, he could just hit numbers and hit send, and it calls. That's what he's used to. Well, Paul was used to having a Tychicus to take his letters. That's how communication went back in his day. He was trustworthy. "That they may encourage your hearts," is what verse 8 says, "whom I have sent unto you for the same purpose, that he may know your estate and comfort your hearts." My question is, who is the Tychicus of this church? Who's the trustworthy person of this church? He had the gift of encouragement. Paul could count on him always, and he was trustworthy. Onesimus was a man with a bad background. Think about it. This man was a runaway slave. In fact, he stole his master's money and left. Under Paul's influence, Onesimus became a Christian. Paul described this person on his team in verse 9. He referred to the man as our faithful and beloved brother, who is one of you. I love this phrase because when we come in, we may have baggage. Remember when we started the church back in October of 2009? And the very next month, November, I preached a message. Do you remember what it was called? Baggage. I had baggage with me. See, we carried baggage of addictions, baggage of cutting ourselves, baggage of sexual promiscuity. We carried baggage of suicidal tendencies, loneliness, confusion, depression. All of those things. And I had a name for every one of the bags. And at that point, it was God who takes our baggages one by one. Amen. He delivers us. He sets us free. Amen. If you forgot that, I believe it's probably still on our website. Amen. You could go back and revisit it. But I love the phrase because Onesimus came in, he had a bad background, but when he walked out, he was one of us. There was a gentleman one time that walked into this church. We made an advertising ad, and I was really happy about it. It brought in one person, and he was on death row. Came and sat right back where Sister Rebecca's sitting. He said, "I just want to let you, I just got off death row. God delivered me, set me free, and I'm here." Which I shook my head too. I was like, okay. Don't kill us. We love you, brother. He said, "I'm an evangelist, and my ministry is called Death Row Ministries." That's what he called it. Then he started telling me some other things, and I said, "Oh, we got to watch this brother." Amen. But he came in a bad dude, and he walked out one of us. Amen. You see, the man who stole his master's money, ran away, then gets saved under Paul's ministry. Now Paul, sending him back to the place where he had committed such the crime that he committed, was crazy. Stole his master's money. Then he sent him back. Now the people saw him as a faithful brother and a citizen of society because he got saved. And Paul wrote a letter even to his slave master saying, forgive the debt. Amen. He loves us. He's one of us. Paul knew God could use lowly people because he remembered what he was before God saved him. No doubt when Onesimus came to Paul as a runaway slave, Paul told this man his own story. As a result, Onesimus realized that if God could save Paul and use him, God could do the same for him. God uses all kinds of lowly people. Can I tell you that my life was lowly? From 9 to 19. At 9 years old, my mom and dad got a divorce. By the age of 9 or 10, I started drinking. By the age of 12, I would drink a 12-pack a day. At 12 years of age. You look at some of these kids that are in here, and I'm telling you, not all of them are churched. There's a very few that are churched. Every one of those are not churched kids. They're going through something. God's going to use them. God's going to use you. Because all of us have a story. By the time I was 13, I was doing drugs. Bad. Horrible. 14, I was a runaway slave. I was bound up. And I ran away to Texas to go see a girl that I thought I was in love with. Crazy. Driving a Bronco. And my buddy who went with me, my accomplice, or guy that went with me, Dion, good best friend still, he took his daddy's truck and I said, let's go. I'm going to roll with you. And we're driving, he's 15, I'm 14, and we're driving to Texas. Going to go to California. Lowly estate. We get caught, obviously. We get locked up in this office they called jail, but it was an office. And said, you sleep and you go to sleep. The next morning my mother was there to pick me up. I had nothing but shorts on. I had no shirt and no shoes. I did not go past go. I could not collect $200. Amen. I said to the man who arrested me, I'll never forget him. He was a big old black dude with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots with a toothpick. And he said, son, I said, can I please go and get my shoes and my shirt? He said, this is Texas. This ain't Burger King, and you don't get it your way. You get it my way. Get in the car. So, obviously, we had to get in the car. That's a funny little story, but it doesn't end there. By the time I get back home, within months later, 15, and by this time I'm driving my dad around, because he's a drunk, driving him around, getting pulled over. Son, how old are you? I don't know, my dad's in the back drunk. No, don't tell him that. I'm okay, I'm just sick. I got it. My dad knew everybody. And so then they would tell my dad to go and drive, and I would get the passengers. But I would drive my dad around at 14 and 15 years of age. Time I was 16, I was doing such hard drugs that I would pass out and black out. That if I did not die, then I surely would, because I had face-to-face encounters with guns, 45s, 44s in my face. My truck was shot 44 different times around my gas tank. I was kicked and left for dead because I was stealing stuff from drug lords. I would do whatever it took for the next hit one more time. That was me. I was the Onesimus. I was the one that was running, and I had no clue who God was. My mom and dad didn't take me to church. I did not have church background. My goal when I grew up was not to be a pastor. I can tell you that. Amen. My goal was to live my life for number one. By the time I was 17, I was in a drug rehab because I almost overdosed and met my maker. Would be in hell right now I would have been a statistic in the newspaper because of what I was doing.